And it's the largest lead of the game.
That could be the greatest move I've ever seen.
Hey guys, this is Dominique Wilkins.
Hey, this is Sean Kemp.
This is Gary Payton.
Hey, this is Pau Gasol.
NBA fans, what's up? This is Vince Carter here.
Hey, what's up? This is Matt Barnes. If you're an old school NBA fan like I am, make sure you check out the Basketball Time Machine with my man Sean David.
Hey guys, what's good? Welcome back to the Basketball Time Machine. My name is Sean David. Let's talk some old school NBA basketball. You know, for today I actually had a different kind of episode scheduled, but then I came across a video of Shaquille O'Neal discussing that he feels that Steph Curry belongs in the GOAT conversation. So I scrapped my entire plan, and this is worth talking about. But before we start with this episode, let me ask you guys for a small favor. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video if you enjoy the content. All right, let's do it. Now you guys, as I already mentioned, this morning I woke up, saw this video clip of Shaquille O'Neal seriously debating if Steph Curry should be in the GOAT conversation. And when he started, it sounded like he was even thinking that Steph Curry might be the GOAT already. And yeah, let's take a look at the clips first, and then I'll give you my opinion. Let's take a look.
I'm wondering, not saying, I'm just wondering, because he's been consistently the best shooter his whole career. I'm wondering, is it time to start putting him as the best player of all time?
Best player?
Oh,
you put him over you?
In the conversation.
I'm asking you.
Yes.
You put him over you. You yourself put Steph Curry over you.
Yeah, this is why he's my favorite player. Cause
I'm not saying favorite. He might be my favorite too, but I'm just asking you think he's better than you.
I played 20 years, watched 20 years before that. I've never seen a guy like him. And he's doing it consistently, and he has championships.
You put him over Michael?
No, I'm not putting him anywhere. I'm saying,
okay,
you know, for all the chitter chatter, is it time to just put him in the conversation?
I think he's a.
I'm asking the fans, is it time to start putting him in the conversation as one of the best players ever?
I'm gonna put it as a fan. I think in terms of position, you could say, is he one of the best in his position that ever played? But I think the one thing that separates yourself, Jordan, LeBron, is the ability to affect the game in so many other areas. Well, okay, because one part of I'm not saying one part of basketball.
It's for Steph.
No, we have. He's got great teams, and I'm not saying we're not taking it away from his greatness to say he's.
Is it time to put him in the conversation?
I can't bear to watch.
You know, even though I am an old school fan and I always prefer 80s and 90s towards today's NBA, there's no denying that Steph Curry is a phenomenal player. And even though I also feel that he would have a harder time in the 80s and 90s simply because of the fact that when players were way more physical and you had hand checking, it would make life a lot tougher for Steph. I still believe he would have been a great player back then. But then again, I have the feeling that sometimes people throw around the GOAT, the name, the GOAT, way too easily. And that goes for Shaquille O'Neal. I have a lot of respect for the guy, but you can't be serious. And I tell you why. Let's talk about the criteria that you need to fulfill in order to be in the GOAT conversation. Now, the first thing that comes to mind for me is that you have to be clearly the most dominant player of a certain era. That is the reason, for example, like Larry Bird, for example, is my second favorite player of all time, but he's not in the GOAT conversation. You always have him like number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6 in the top 10. But there's a reason why he's not in the GOAT conversation, because there was other players in his era that were just as good as him. Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So Larry's not in the conversation. Magic Johnson is not in the conversation. Incredible players, they are not in the conversation. So who is in the conversation? You have Michael Jordan, who was clearly the best player for a very, very long time. Clearly, nobody could touch him. Then even though LeBron James, I'm not the greatest fan of LeBron because of several reasons, but I understand why he's in the GOAT conversation because he's clearly, for a very long time, the best player of a certain era. So he belongs into that conversation. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar clearly belongs into that conversation because there was a time nobody could touch this guy. Steph Curry, to me, as phenomenal as he is, he was never clearly the greatest player in the league. He might have been for a short period where he won the MVP, but there were always other guys where you could always make a case for them and say, yeah, they are just as good. LeBron, for example, Kevin Durant, for example. So that criteria Steph never fulfilled.
The best player ever? No.
Yeah.
Not as the best player ever.
He can do it all except.
No, he's the best position. He might be best in his position.
Hey, man, he can do it all.
No.
Listen, his title is solidified. He's the best shooter ever by far. But I'm saying because of what he's done and how long he's done it, do we put him in that conversation? Because you look at Jordan 6, Kobe 5, he's right there. LeBron 4, him 4.
I'm a barbershop talker.
Yeah,
like, because I can't. Yeah, I'm gonna put myself in the barbershop that you're talking about. He is one of the best at his position ever, without question.
So doesn't that put him in the conversation?
No.
You're saying, okay, so you wouldn't say, well, let's put the best shooter of all time in the conversation.
No, I know he's not the best shooter of all time.
Yes,
he might
he
be
is.
one of the best point guards of all time.
Who's not the best
just the best shooter. He's not just the best shooter.
I know, but you might say that if you're going to say, here's our pool of best player ever.
No, that pool ain't deep. That pool's not. There's not deep water in there.
So you wouldn't include the best.
There's only like 3.
You wouldn't include the best shooter of all time in that conversation.
I wouldn't include the best rebounder of all time in that conversation.
No.
I wouldn't put a statistical category.
Who's in that pool?
That pool is very thin.
Who's in it?
Michael Jordan.
Got it.
LeBron James.
Yes.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yes.
And then we start reaching.
No, you don't reach.
Then another thing. To me, in order to be in the GOAT conversation, you have to be a great two-way player. So that's why Jordan, again, is to me the greatest player of all time. He was dominant on both ends of the floor. Steph, as we all know, in his early career was a terrible defender, and it was never, I want to state that, it was never because of a lack of effort, but it was a lack of skill in certain qualities that he did not have. Now, the good thing is he got better over time. He gained some weight. He became a little bit more physical. So he was really trying. And again, it was not his fault. He was trying to get better on defense, but he's still not a great defender. He's okay now, okay-ish. So, to me, you have to be a great two-way player to be the greatest player of all time.
I think I put Steph Curry in that category.
I'm just saying, to me, that's the pool to me. Kareem, LeBron, Michael, because they dominate in so many areas. They can have an off shooting night and affect everything that goes in the game.
He had an off shooting night in the first half. You saw
No.
second half?
Defensively, rebounding, block shots,
Come on, Ernie, you just left me.
leadership. He's a great now. You say now is he the one that's top 2-3 point guards ever? Without question. Yeah. Without question.
But that doesn't qualify you for the conversation of
best player
of all time.
Not best player.
And I don't want to hate on Steph Curry because I like him as a person. I think he is a great dude, and I think he's a phenomenal player, as I mentioned already. I think he has a legit case to be a top 10 player, which is already a sensational accomplishment because, as we all know, as time progresses, we have so many great players that used to be in the top 10 like 15, 20 years ago who are slowly moving out of the list, which is already hurting me from a basketball fan perspective. So even mentioning him to be in the top 10 is sensational. But in the GOAT conversation, no, and I don't think he can be. Too many things missing for that. But now, you guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think about the thing that Shaq said? What about what Kenny Smith said? Let me know in the comments below. And hopefully, I'll see you next time on the Basketball Time Machine.
Now let us begin the battle of the last true gladiators.
Michael, it's time.
You're the all